Hey guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be transforming that boring and pretty short Civil War questline into a massive war zone and overhauling just how much the Civil War affects the rest of Skyrim. So these will be mods overhauling the environment, the Civil War questline, as well as some gameplay aspects to get you more immersed into the Civil War. Especially considering without dragons being involved, the biggest issue happening in Skyrim would be the Civil War. So it only makes sense to make that a reality with mods. These mods will be for PC and Xbox, but if a mod is available for PlayStation, I will also list it down below in the description. But if you guys end up enjoying this video, on top of downloading a few of these mods, do make sure to endorse those mod authors. Also make sure to leave a like on the video. Either way, I hope you guys end up enjoying, and let's dive right in. Starting off today, we're overhauling those directly involved with the Civil War. Starting off with the first mod called Sons of Skyrim. This armor mod overhauls every guard faction in Skyrim, so not just Stormcloaks and Imperials, although Stormcloaks do get the most attention with this mod, but this mod namely overhauls every guard with multiple variants from heavy variants to light variants that also come with their own custom cloaks and also fur shaders. Aside from those, even inside of the heavy variants and light variants, there will also be different chest pieces and gauntlets for both levels of armors. You'll see them all distributed throughout your world as a replacer for the guard armors, as well as standalone variants that you can craft if you aren't strong enough to take one for yourself. This is meant to be an improved version of the original guard armor which came out years ago, which sort of had them all looking kind of the same, just with different colors. But now along with different colors, every hold has their own unique helmet types, as well as outfit types, with some holds focusing more on heavy armors, while the others head towards light armor. The shields are also custom and distributed to every guard. Imperials were also overhauled with this mod, but only the guards that you'll see around Solitude, so the soldiers will still have their vanilla outfit. So if you don't prefer that, there is a mod I recommend to fix that issue for you. Which brings me up to the next mod, also by Nordwar. This mod is called New Legion. Now there are multiple versions of Legion armors made by Nordwar and also other people, but this one is definitely the most advanced and most expansive, because it provides the most variants, such as the legates getting their own level of armor that you won't find on normal foot soldiers. The penitents also have their own special armor and shields to go together, and it is unobtainable, you can't craft any of these, besides killing people that already have them. This armor is the perfect addition to Sons of Skyrim Stormcloaks, but I wouldn't doubt Nordwar to already be working on a new Legion mod. Nonetheless, if you are looking for an armor just for yourself to stand out from the rest of the foot soldiers, then you have to use the mod Stormcloak Einherjar armor, providing an armor to you, and if you have the spell perk item distributor file installed, you will also see it on certain officers in the army. There are different variants for the cuirass, as well as the two helmet options. You can either choose open faced or closed faced. But on top of this wonderful armor, there are 3 added weapons for you to choose from, with the Warhammer I believe being the intended look, or maybe that's just the one that looks the best to me. And based on the mod author's words, this was intended for console use at the time of making. Of course, if you join the Imperials, then you need a different armor, but this one, also by the same mod author, this mod is called Imperial Primus armor. This armor is unisex, and if you choose, instead of having this be a standalone that you have to obtain, you can have it replace the vanilla Lord's mail armor, which I highly recommend because that set is incomplete. This mod comes with much more than a previous Stormcloak armor, coming with multiple equipment sets for you to pick from to choose your desired look, with some only being slightly weaker than ebony armor, and others equal to or stronger than. Of course, this one also comes with new weapons, but also new shields to pick from with wonderful texture work applied to them, combining the textures from a few separate mods, but all of them are listed for credits on a mod page. To get the sets, all you have to do is have the Advanced Armors perk, which means you can get this pretty early if you invest in it, which I recommend considering you will be fighting hundreds of enemies by the time this video is over. Now focusing on the environment side of things, starting off with the lesser known mod called Civil War Checkpoints. This mod adds several checkpoints around Skyrim with clutter and guards to fill them. They aren't all the same size, some will be much smaller than the other counterparts. There are only 3 checkpoints at the time I'm re-recording this, with the first being in Whiterun, Then we have the one in Dragonbridge, which is definitely the biggest of the three, and with the area being so empty outside of Dragonbridge, it made for the perfect addition. These checkpoints are also Civil War aware and will change their flag and people maintaining them depending on how the Civil War progresses, or depending on what mods you have installed. And if you're on PC, you can actually pick which ones you want and don't want, but I do recommend to at least keep the Dragonbridge one. But now we have a very similar mod but touching different areas. This mod is called Those Borders SSE. Do not grab the reborn version because that one is outdated compared to this one. This mod does what Civil War Checkpoint does, but much more expansive. These are not Imperial or Stormcloak based, but instead they're based on the hold guards. So you will see them before crossing into a different hold, because the guards will be there to keep you from passing if you have a bounty, as well as protecting civilians from wildlife threats. Each border is marked on the map of the mod page if you want to see for yourself, but they are placed on the main roads, so they are quite easy to avoid if you're a bandit looking to avoid capture. But for Imperials or Stormcloaks crossing into another hold, they will be attacked on sight. Up next, a mod most people don't even know of, but this new mod is called Camp Argentum. Well, it's not technically new, but it's new to you. This mod adds an Imperial camp to the Whiterun hold of Skyrim. It's pretty far from Whiterun itself, but it will be marked on the map once you discover it. Inside the camp is multiple tents and cooking pots for soldiers just waiting for battle. None of the NPCs in this camp are essential either, so you can wipe the entire camp out if you choose to, or if you're a Stormcloak. But if you're an Imperial and you want to wipe out a camp, then there is another mod for you. This mod is called Camp Varglya. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. But this is the opposite of the previous camp, where this one is the host of Stormcloak soldiers, with the more pronounced layout of their camp, showcasing the positioning of soldiers. One thing to mention though is that they won't attack you on sight if you're an Imperial, but if you do want that, then there is separate patches that you can grab on PC, but at base neither camps will attack you on sight, which is probably for the best because you don't want to get chased by 50 Stormcloaks. But up next, another immersive mod. This mod is called Civil War Refugees. It makes no sense that only children could be homeless in Skyrim, because people die in war, and that's what this mod showcases. At the outer limits of cities, you will see many NPCs camping for their own safety, but the city itself is off limits to them. Fair warning though, for people that have AI Overhaul, unless you have a patch, sometimes the NPCs will wander into bars at the end of the day, but you can always turn that off. With this mod, you will see injured NPCs or just widowed women after their husbands died in the war. Or maybe they were just kicked out after their city was taken over. But speaking of being kicked out, up next we have this mod called Civil War Deserters. I guess technically they weren't kicked out, but this mod adds a new enemy type to Skyrim called Imperial or Stormcloak Deserter. They are soldiers who couldn't handle the war, but due to being a deserter, they aren't allowed into cities. So with no other option, they resorted to being bandits. Most of them have their own separate outfits, but some you will still see wearing Stormcloak armor. As of right now, they only can be found in 3 empty locations previously in vanilla, but they will respawn and be on par with normal bandits around the area. This is one of those mods I'm so glad I found when it was underrated, so I'm glad to see that it blew up now. But on to the next mod, we have the mod Immersive Patrols. You can't really have a Civil War video without at least mentioning this mod. This mod adds new Imperial and Stormcloak patrols around Skyrim, and they typically patrol the same area and walkway, so they will quite often during the Civil War cross paths and you will see a lot of battle. You can view other NPCs such as Thalmor patrolling, but the main reason why you absolutely need this mod is not even for the patrols, but for the massive scripted battles that happen across Skyrim. These battles are already predetermined and will automatically spawn as soon as you get close. It won't spawn randomly, but if you do go to the locations marked on the map or just wander into them randomly, you'll see a large battle depending on the file that you downloaded. The main version that you see here only has 22 actors total, but you can grab the heavy variant with over 32. Or you can grab the light version which has no big battles at all. The perfect mod to pair with this mod adds battle aftermaths. And of course, that is why it is named Skyrim Battle Aftermath SE. This mod in locations adds battles that showcase what happens when Imperials and Stormcloaks meet and don't wait to fight until you actually get there. Instead, you will see tons of carnage in the wake of the battle, destroyed and on fire carriages, as well as a bunch of dead animals for some reason. But of course, the main thing that you'll see is tons of dead combatants. There is also much more gruesome sights such as NPCs hanging from trees, but I don't think I could show that here. There is also one special battle location that features a dragon fight, because instead of Imperials and Stormcloaks fighting to the death, a dragon appeared and wiped them all out. But if you don't want that because you did this before the main story and don't have dragons yet, you can remove that with an additional file. Up next, we have one of the most important mods of this video. This mod is called Civil War Lines Expansion. This mod features many new lines for soldiers to utter either during idle chatter or during combat. But there is so many different lines that you'll never really hear the same one twice, at least not often. Aside from the chatter said to players, you'll also get to see NPCs chatting between each other. This is definitely a great mod for those people tired of the same generic NPCs. Now this makes them feel a little more alive. But now taking a darker turn on the events of the Civil War, this mod is called Civil War Aftermath. This mod handles those leftover camps that are dotted around Skyrim after or during the war. Now you can charge in and kill pretty much every NPC, including the before essential commanders. And after murdering your way through the camp, you will be allowed to burn everything to the ground. Just to really put in the effort to really wipe out all the presence of the other army. To prevent any game breaking bugs though, this mod will only become active after you complete the Jagged Crown, so you can't go wipe out camps of both sides to try and end the Civil War yourself. You have to pick a side first. But as I mentioned, this does force you to wait until after the Jagged Crown, and not forcing you to wait until the end of the Civil War, but that is perfectly fine because destroying a lot of these camps beforehand generally has no consequence because they're generally useless unless you're taking quests from them, which you won't because you're on the other side. After destroying the camps, if you come back a few days after, you will bear witness to new events of either your side taking over the camp, or pretty random things that I love discovering and won't spoil for you. This next mod is strictly for Stormcloaks. This mod is called Jarl Balgruuf Dilemma. This mod makes it so that Balgruuf will not automatically take the side of Imperials. At base he will. If you are an Imperial, you won't have to convince him otherwise. But now when you get the quest to deliver the axe to Whiterun, during the conversation of Balgruuf talking to a steward, you can interrupt by interacting with him once again, and during this conversation, you can chime in and say why he shouldn't side with Tullius, and based on your speech level, he may or may not believe you, but you'll definitely be given a second chance to persuade him again. And if you are successful either time to get him to side with the Stormcloaks, the battle for Whiterun will be entirely skipped altogether. You won't have to do any fighting, and Balgruuf will stay the Jarl. Up next, a much more simple mod, overhauling the flags on the war tables for factions. This mod is called Civil War Map Flag Replacer. Instead of flags just being generic color-based flags on poles, now each one will be specialized and have custom icons for Stormcloaks and Imperials. The version you're seeing though in this video is the reduced by 50% in the optional files, because with the flags being so many on the table, it can be a little cluttered sometimes. Especially when you combine it with this massive mod called Open Civil War. To activate Open Civil War, you just interact with the war table, and you pick your mode, and then you'll see the table animate. Open Civil War completely changes up the Civil War. Instead of it being just a simple quest line to complete, it is now a full-on war game with strategy involved. Every city fight will be just like the battle for Whiterun, now with attacks and defenders and objectives to complete to defend the city. But unlike that, you can actually fail with defending a city, and the city will be taken by the attacking faction, or defending if you fail to take it. You can also fail if you don't defend the city on time. This mod really brings new life to the Civil War, making every step exciting, but also at the same time making it stressful. Because after a hard fought battle, you can take over a city just to have another one taken from you. But fair warning, the Civil War was already pretty buggy and vanilla, So with this mod, I highly advise to save often and not fast travel too often. With this mod, you can either fight in a war or you can simulate it off screen. But if you lose due to simulating, your commander will be pretty mad. So it's better to just fight through everything. But for the final mod of today, we have a mod for After the War is Settled. This next mod is called After the Civil War Siege Damage Repairs. After you kill either faction commanders, after a certain time period, you'll be given a quest that takes you to the Temple of Divines in Solitude. Here you can make a donation to a lockbox that will only appear during the quest and also disappear. And depending on how much you donate, the repairs will be sped up. So you don't have to donate at all if you don't want, and it'll just take 20 in-game days. But if you donate the maximum like me, it just takes 5 days. And during those 5 days, you will see new workers come and go, along with new construction items for them to use to make repairs to cities. This mod will completely repair every city that was damaged during the invasion and sieges. Open Civil War won't add to those damages, but it is in vanilla and it won't go away without this mod. So you'll have your vanilla looking cities back. And that was pretty much it for today, guys. Let me know what Civil War mod you think I should have included that you would consider a must have, because there's a bunch of small mods I could have included, of course, but I wanted to make it simple for console users. So without further ado, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace and love, guys.